boys screws loose, they done stripped the bolts on them. Should've never sent them to pick up the work for them. Sprayed the park and had my shit inside the car. Marcus Smart boy was shooting with a 36 on him. Said if he wasn't in the rush, they was all goners.
All right, greetings, Chudlings. Welcome to another episode of Chuddy's Corner. I am your host, Doug Outs, as always, with Chud, King Chuddy. How you doing tonight, Chud?
I'm always doing well when we beat the Sixers. After tonight's win, I'm doing particularly well. A lot of fun. How you doing?
I'm doing all right as well. So, as you said, Celtics win 117-107. It's about 10:23 right now on the East Coast, Wednesday, November 15th. Before we get into it, just a reminder to make sure you follow the page on all of our social media pages. The show Twitter is at Chuddy's Corner. My account is at Doug_Outs, and you can follow Chud at King Chuddy. All of those are on Twitter, X, whatever you'd like to call it. Also, real quick, special shout out to our sponsor, Nick Perino Real Estate. All your real estate needs, you can find everything real estate related and everything Chuddy's Corner related also at nickperino.com. Again, special thanks to our sponsor for looking out for us. So, with that being said, we'll get right into this one. Celtics, again, a 117-107 win over the Sixers. You said it's always great to beat the Sixers. It does always feel good. This one felt pretty good also. Porzingis and Jaylen Brown both out. So, there's a little bit of concern going into the game on how the bench would show up. I won't take too much of your thunder on the breakdown, so I'll hand the mic over to you and let me know what you saw in the game and what you liked.
Yeah, I saw a lot of great stuff, a lot of stuff I liked. As you said, Brown and Porzingis both out for this one, so it was the first classic hospital Celtics game, brought back some memories, and Again, all the questions really going into the season were depth. This was our first taste. Hopefully, it won't be an every night type of thing where we see that Porzingis questionable. Sounds like this was just overly cautious, but you never know. This is how some things can start. But anyway, focus on the positives. Celtics came out. Hauser and Horford inserted into the starting lineup. Team was immediately clicking. All things considered, I thought that first quarter, one of the best the Celtics have played all year. They were absolutely flying up and down the court. 11-0 fast break points in that first quarter. Philly, again, let's not forget, we're on a back-to-back, played yesterday against the Pacers, who are one of the fastest-paced teams in the league. So the Sixers, although, they can't be making excuses given our health, but they definitely were probably a little tired. And I think it showed. The Celtics came out trying to run, dominated the first quarter. Second quarter, kind of gave it all back. Interestingly enough, it was when Embiid went out. And Maxey came in. It was kind of Maxey running the show for Philly. They got going a little bit. So almost a complete flip from the first quarter. The Celtics lost their pace. It seemed like we were kind of just going slow, passing it around, shooting up threes. They weren't falling. And on the other end, Philly against our all bench units was going right to the rim. Guys were just attacking. It seemed like they were the ones playing with all the pace, all the physicality. They weren't really scared of anyone we put in there. So kind of gave up all that good we had garnered in the first. Third quarter came out. Again, that kind of starting lineup from tonight, just absolutely smothering defense. Took it to him, really. Again, the way kind of got exactly back to what we wanted. Again, went deep into that bench. In the fourth quarter, when Embiid went out, same exact thing. Maxey came in. It was DeAnthony Melton and Maxey carrying the Sixers right back in it. Got it to about, I think they cut it all the way to 6 minutes left. Both teams put in all their starters. And from then on, it was a beautiful close to the game. Great execution by the Celtics across the board. Time and again, executed on both ends. And just closed the Sixers out to end up winning somewhat comfortably by 10 points without the two starters. So again, just a great night, start to finish. Got to hit on the main takeaways from tonight. Al Horford, awesome night. I'll be honest, Al has started this season looking like it was hard to say if he had lost a step. It was finally becoming a little bit washed, but it was also easy to say like we hadn't really needed him tonight. No Porzingis, we needed him. He loves playing against Embiid, and he looked like vintage Al. He did an amazing job really shutting down Embiid for the most part all the time he was in there. Al had 5 blocks tonight. Yeah. The Celtics had 8 as a team. He was amazing. They went
He was
back to
chirping
that.
the Philly fans too. That's
He
when
was
you know he's in
getting
his
into
bag.
it. Oh yeah, and Philly hates him, which is kind of funny. And again, they were kind of leaving him on offense. He got aggressive, drilled I think 3 threes in a row at one point, but he was playing great out of the post, really feeling himself all around. So it's just so nice to know that Al still has that, and hopefully it's we can kind of keep it in reserve to when we need it. But to see him play like that, I mean, talk about I don't even know if you can call it fountain of youth because he seems to do it every year. Like it's not like he ever really lost it, but it's amazing to see just how incredibly he plays against Embiid. Like talk about rising to the occasion, he was awesome. And then the other guy who was especially awesome, Derek White. Again, we've talked about a couple games earlier in this year, but it's like he was running the show. He really took over. He played great, I thought, all night, but especially in that fourth quarter, running offense. He was getting into the lane when things got tight. It was really Derek off a screen, was just driving right into the paint. He hit a few floaters. He had a few nice passes. And he was starting hitting the 3 to fall. Super efficient night. Just seemed like he made the right decision every single play. Obviously, great defense. And then the other thing to shout out, the bench. I mean, all these guys who we weren't very sketched out about, I thought almost every single one of them played great. I love that Joe went with Delano Banton, gave him awesome minutes right from the first quarter. I mean, he's like a huge point guard, so he plays almost like a forward. And you could see he was making a difference around the rim on both ends. He was getting a few rebounds. He had an offensive rebound tip back, I think, on his first possession. He back tapped Embiid, which led to a run out. Just all over the court. I thought he was great.
He had 5 rebounds in 4 minutes there in the first quarter.
Yeah, he was awesome. Total difference maker. I mean, at one point, at the end of the first quarter, we went with a lineup of Drew, Peyton, Banton, Svi, and Cornette. Well, they still had Embiid in the court, and we stretched out the lead. It was like all those guys were hustling. They just looked awesome. Pritchard had a really good game.
I made a note because Scal asked earlier, like, what lineup can we have when Tatum's out that could have a positive plus minus? And I was like, well, you never know. You strangest of places,
That was it. That was awesome.
I love that lineup.
Cornette had a great game, and he had, he battled. That's obviously not an easy matchup for him, but I thought he did a really good job. And he had 2 absolutely massive putbacks, kind of when the game was very tight. His last few minutes,
back-to-back plays.
Yeah, one off a little Derek missed a floater, and he tipped it in, and then Tatum missed a mid-range, and same thing. Cornette was right there. 2 huge offensive rebounds in a row when it was a super tight game with like 6.5, 7 minutes left in the fourth, right before he came out. So that was really great to see. I mean, I thought almost everyone who came in gave us great effort. Even like Hauser didn't have a great shooting night. He was like 2 of 7 or 2 of 9 on threes, but I thought he still had a very positive impact. Great on defense. And then going back to my takes from pregame, shutting down the 2 guys. I mean, Maxey and Embiid, I said they've been averaging 61.5 points per game. They combined for only 40 points, and 4 of them were garbage Embiid points at the end. But I mean, the combo of Al, Drew, and a little bit of Cornette mixed in there on Embiid was awesome. Again, I know I'm sure he'll say he had the back-to-back and he was tired.
It was a season low for him too.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. And Maxey, same thing. I mean, I felt he got going a couple times, but we had Drew on Maxey, and Drew almost completely shut Maxey down as well as anyone I've seen, which is great because even as good of guard defense as the Celtics have had over the years, the one place we've kind of always struggled was with guys like Maxey who are just so fast and seemed like they could just dribble by anyone. And he was just not going anywhere at all on Drew. Drew's getting through every screen, making him work so hard. It's great to see because, that's always kind of something nerve-wracking with me is those little like quick twitch guards. But he was amazing on him all night. Never really let Maxey get going. I said I wanted to make the other guys beat us, and that's really exactly what the Celtics did. Like Covington had some points at the beginning, but it's like not concerned about that. D'Anthony Melton was out of his mind shooting, but even the whole time I was like, if Melton and Covington beat us, fine. And that bench lineup, like I mentioned, when we had all those guys in with Joel, it was like, all right, we're just going to triple team Embiid, make him pass. For some reason, Nick Nurse insisted on playing Pat Beverly and Marcus Morris together for 6-minute stretches in each half. That basically lost them the game. I mean, I think each of those stretches we pushed out the lead, and like those guys are just so bad. I can't believe. I know that Batum and Oubre are out for Philly, so I don't think Morris would play normally. But having them both in there again, it's just like what.
At the same time, too, made it more. And there was one point where I took a note of it because Beverly shot like an awful 3 from the corner that just like was nowhere near going in. And then the next time up the floor, he had it in almost the same spot. I thought he was going to shoot it again, and then he passed it instead to Morris, and Morris took the 3 and missed it. I just was like, I was just cracking up, like, okay, if that's the offense they're running against us, then I think that's gonna be pretty good for us. But It's
I mean,
weird. Like Beverly thought he was like a shooter tonight. I don't know. He was
jarring.
A lot more shots than I would ever expect to see at him.
Like it went so badly in the first half, and then Nurse just used the exact same rotation in the second. It was absolutely baffling. Like, and it was again when it was the kind of that first sub when Embiid stayed in, Maxey went out. I think Melton went out, and those two went in. And again, not a huge plus minus guy, but if you could look at it with a grouping, Embiid tonight minus 25 when he was on the court. Patrick Beverly minus 17, Marcus Morris minus 16, and Beverly only played 9 minutes. Morris played 8. And they were basically losing by 2 points a minute while that unit was in the court. And again, they played him. I know they don't have a ton of options, but that was just crazy because like Jaden Springer was playing great. I mean, for the most part, the rest of their role players played well, but those stretches arguably lost them the game. And then again, it was like they were making their little spurts at the start of the second and fourth quarter when it was Embiid went out, those guys went out, and it was kind of Maxey, Melton, and those other bench guys was really the lineups hurting us most. But overall, I mean, super solid. And then how can I not mention Jason Tatum, his MVP self, doing it all again tonight, aggressive when he needed to be, distributing when he needed to be, great defense all night, just rising to the challenge. And then
a little more rebounding would have been nice for those that tailed the you'd be an idiot not to tail this parlay.
That's a tough one.
2 rebounds short of hitting for Jason Tatum. But yeah, I agree. I didn't mean to interrupt. But he did have a great game. But
no, that's true. But it was other guys in that rebounding department. I mean, again, Al 14 and 8 off the bench is awesome. True Holiday 18 and 10. I saw a stat.
Al started. You said Al off the bench?
Oh, I didn't mean to say off the bench if I did. Sorry.
All right. I didn't know.
No, but Drew. I saw a stat in 193 games with the Bucks, he had 2 games of double-digit rebounding so far with the Celtics. He already has 4. Sorry, but go ahead. But I don't think it doesn't speak to like anything changing with Drew. It's just the change in the role that especially with who we had tonight. It's like he's basically a power forward out there for us. Like the way he plays and on both ends, he's guarding big guys. He's guarding. The fact that he guarded Embiid in the first game and Maxey tonight. Like, are there 2 different players and like more different guys to have to guard who are both so sick and so
it'd be funny,
such an amazing job.
On some of those pick and rolls he'd switch and he'd be he would go from, like you said, covering this little speedster to covering Embiid, and it's just like there's not a whole lot of you could probably count on one hand the number of players that can do that effectively
and do it that well. Is amazing. So that's
just taking away a big part of their offense because they go and they just try to force those switches and things like that. And when it's a guy like that, it's
that 2-man game is is crazy. So Drew continues to just be awesome. But so many good plays, and again, so many good plays down the stretch. I wrote down when the starters came back in, there was that play they trapped Embiid in the corner. White made an awesome play to kind of force Embiid to dribble, and then Tatum pushed it away, pushed it ahead to Tatum, made a hard and one in traffic at the other end. Was just awesome. I think that stretched it from like a 1-point lead to 4. Then the next trip down, Maxey with a drive. Horford just stuffed the shit out of him. Pushed it up. We had a 5-on-4 and just quick passing inside, outside, back and forth. Ended up with Derek for a wide open 3 at the end of that.
That was a very pretty play.
And that was like a 30-second stretch that was kind of the game, and it was just like perfectly encapsulated. It was like typical. Again, after the first game, we'd been saying like, is Philly different? I'm a little nervous. Feels like they feel a little more confident in this matchup. But that end of tonight's game was like vintage Philly, like Embiid, sad, pouting, coughing it up. Us just looking like so confident, passing it around, everyone just into it. That close of the game just absolutely awesome. Almost the whole game, really just the second quarter was unfortunate. But again, for the guys we had to come out and play like that, again, nothing fluky. No one who played like amazing or out of their skis. Nothing that wasn't replicable. We shot all right, but like not even a great 3-point shooting night.
Especially in the first half. We were like 30% in the first half. So
it
came alive though when it mattered.
Yeah, and it was big shots, and it was off of, again, great ball movement down the stretch, like the driving, kicking. It was like every single possession almost started with either Tatum or White driving into the paint. Even the possessions we didn't miss were like we were getting great looks from 3. So again, just awesome to see. And like I said, how much of this? There's no back-to-backs in the playoffs, this and that. I know. I can already hear the Philly fans saying it's back-to-back.
It evens out a little bit though with us having Jaylen and Porzingis out.
100%.
So, like, by that logic, then we would have beaten them by like 50 if it's a back-to-back. We had those 2 guys. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I think I'm
that
all evens out. I think in the end,
that's what they're gonna say. But again, they had their guys, we didn't have ours, and just awesome job on both ends. It all starts with the defense. The defense, especially on those 2 main guys, like you can't play it much better. You really can't.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we covered a lot of the notes that I had too. But yeah, I think that bench unit that came in early, I think that was a big make or break moment. Where, like you said, they extended the lead. I thought that kind of set us off right. It was pretty interesting the first quarter, playing the way we did. Second quarter, they come back and actually take a 1-point lead going into the half. Third quarter, we kind of looked a lot more that first quarter. And then in the fourth quarter to start, it looked a little bit like we were going to go. It was like we were switching off quarters. They went on like a 9-2 run at one point, but then Derek White hit a 3 to sort of end that run. And then from then on, Embiid actually came in shortly after that. And then from then on, it was kind of out. I noticed too, Nurse had Embiid on the bench for the first like half of the fourth, which I noticed in the first game. He did too, to kind of rest him a little bit. I don't think it ended up making much of a difference in this game. But it is just
much worse with Embiid on the floor tonight. I mean, obviously that's not.
But overall, just in the context of like Philly's typical MO, just getting so gassed at the end, it does seem like he's trying that out. It didn't really make a difference today. I don't think you could argue that it was a matter of him coming back in too late. I think that they just didn't have it tonight.
Well, also
and the way we were playing in the fourth quarter was just.
I was gonna say, in the fourth quarter they put Embiid back in. I think it was exactly six minutes left, so half. But in the first half it was even longer. If you notice, they sat him for the start of the second quarter almost to like the 3.5 minute mark. It was like probably one of the longest rests he's ever had, and that they made like a 19-5 run during that stretch. Philly did. So I mean, it's again, Paul Reed is obviously not Embiid, but that unit was just bringing a different kind of speed, and like they can't really hurt us with Embiid and the size and slowing down. Like when we play our game, we were playing right into it. But yeah, when they put in B-ball Paul and it's like all Maxey, Melton, again, they're just like a faster, more athletic team, and our bench, who, again, played really well, but, like, Svi, Hauser, Cornet isn't the most athletic, like, fleet-footed.
I almost jumped out of my roof when, jumped out of my roof, I don't know what that means. Almost jumped out of my window, maybe, just jumped out of my seat when Svi came in, like, right off the bench and hit that 3. That was just a great moment for the Svi fans out there, so.
Absolutely.
So that bench unit played really well. We put him away in the fourth. I don't have a whole lot of other things. Cornet, the 2 putbacks that we talked about, I thought those were huge. He's been awesome. Playing really well. Like, it's going to take a little bit of time, I think, for some Celtics fans to see Cornet out there, not immediately be like, oh fuck, like, just because his role last year was so little. Like when he was in, it was either we were getting crushed or the game was over and he didn't really have an opportunity. But in the meaningful minutes he's gotten, I think he's played all right. And he's had a couple. He had an alley-oop tonight too. That was awesome too. It's just good to see. It's just kind of funny every time he does something. Whenever they show the bench is always just cracking up. It's just like it's just kind of funny to see. Like he'll just put like a putback layup and they'll show the bench. The bench is like, oh, like I can't believe Cornet. Like it's like, but he's actually he's a decent role player. I mean, he's not going to go out and sign a huge contract or anything like that. He's not going to be that guy. But for what we need out of him, especially tonight without Porzingis in, he definitely showed up. So you got to give him his flowers on that one. I agree with you 100% on Al. I think that his game tonight, I think he had sort of looked a little bit not himself. I mentioned on one of the pods earlier that the threes that we're used to seeing just haven't been quite falling. But today he was shooting in with confidence, and I was watching with confidence. Those shots go up. The 5 blocks were huge. It felt like those blocks were coming all at very like important times too. So it just was an overall great game by everybody. Everybody showed up. This was a game where it could have been easy to sort of, underestimate Philly because they're coming off a back-to-back. We're going in without 2 of our guys. It could have gotten sloppy. It could have gotten ugly. But everyone showed up. So I'm just a big fan of the performance overall. I have a few other just like less game-related thoughts. I don't know if you had anything else you wanted to add, X's and O's wise.
No, I mean, just back to Cornet again. I think like it's just people are just too kind of looking for flaws, where it's like, look around the league, who has like a 9th man, 3rd center, like that's what you're getting. Like, you know what I mean? Or if your team's that deep, then you're not going to have stars as good as we have. Like when you have this high of a payroll, this many stars, your 3rd center who plays, I think 12 minutes a game isn't going to be an all-star.
That is like an antiquated sort of thing. I feel like, if you think about the NBA, like even like maybe 10 years ago, having a bench was like a big thing. It was like people had like, they were like had a whole like 5 off the bench they could have come in and be like sort of effective, I feel like. But you're right, you don't really see it. I think that there's a lot of, and I don't know if that's just the size of the contracts for the top guys and stuff like that, but it does just seem like you don't really hear people talk so much about bench depth as far as beyond like your 6th or 7th guy off the floor. So for ours to be Cornet as the 9th guy, 3rd big man, like you said, and it looks like the Tice dream it might be over as well. So we got to kind of just get used to
definitely over
that it's going to be Cornet. Yeah, he's going to the Clippers. Ugh, I hate to see that. I don't want to steal any thunder. I don't know if that was an around the league thing. But...
Definitely around the league. We'll talk about that more.
So we'll pause on my thoughts on Tice.
But in terms of from the Celtics standpoint on the Tice thing, like people were probably wondering, like, why weren't the Celtics on him? And again, I think we're happy with Tice. Like, I mean, with Cornet, Cornet's fine for that role. And he's much bigger than Tice, obviously. So, we obviously love Tice around here. But I think it's fine. I was fine with having the confidence with Cornet. I think he's earned it. Again, tonight, only 9 turnovers. Awesome to see. We talked, another key to the game was the rebounding. They kind of dominated us on the glass the first game. Tonight, we actually won the rebounding battle, 45-41.
I'm telling you, someone in that locker room is paying attention to Chuddy's corner.
Well, let's hope so. It seems like a lot of people all around.
Yeah.
Didn't foul them too much. Another big thing, and I mean, especially with just annoying Philly and the way they play, like you hate sending them to the line. Only 4 free throws for Embiid, only 5 for Maxey. Those are guys who can, live at the free throw lines. And I thought, we never liked the refs, and they made a lot of bad calls, but I did think for the most part they let them play on both ends. Which
I thought
you always like to see.
I don't have any gripes really with the officiating tonight. I think that there was a few times even when Embiid was sort of doing his flopping kind of shit, and they didn't call for it. So. That might have been something we might have been playing it a little bit differently, but I think overall the refs, this is a fine. I have no gripes on the ref side of things.
Yeah, and speaking of kind of reffing, it was also cool to see the game was basically over, but we were up 8 with about a minute left. Maxey gets fouled on 3, chance to cut it to 5. Great green light special by Joe on the challenge. Yep. It was a clean block by Drew, and it was great to see. Not only, usually when it's a play like that, like a block or a foul, it's a jump ball, but they said since it was clearly blocked and the Celtics clearly caught it, it was Celtics possession too. So awesome challenge. I mean, the right calls, but great challenge, great ruling.
I forget the phrase the ref used, but it was like he said it was like the Celtics were like it was impending or something like that. Like I forget the
imminent.
Term
I think he said imminent possession.
Imminent, yeah, imminent.
Yeah, and I was like, that's true. But I feel like usually they are more just like, well, you never know, like the butterfly effect if we didn't blow the whistle. But they're like, no, it was friggin' imminent. All right.
Yeah,
the Celtics got the ball, and that was the game.
Imminent. The Celtics are imminent.
But how appropriate to close it out with Drew blocking a Maxey 3 like that, where he ate him alive all game, and everyone's been talking about, Maxey, and rightfully so. Rightfully so. I mean, Maxey has been awesome, but it was nice, like, Drew stepping up to the challenge, being like, I hear all the talk about Maxey, like, all right, let's see what you got. So, awesome all around. I think one thing that comes out of this game is, like, for how well they played, it'll be interesting when we play Philly again, and if we match up with them in the playoffs, because it's like, how do you not have Horford in there? Horford's got to play a lot. And when Drew can guard Maxey and Horford can guard Embiid, the defense on them is so much better. Whereas obviously in the first game, Porzingis, who I think scored like 29 points, had a good game, but he's not guarding Embiid. So it just kind of moves everything around. And I just thought, like, our defense overall was kind of better tonight with that setup.
Something to keep an eye out on.
Yeah, and I hope that that's something that everyone, and everyone said all the right things. So I hope everyone's in to win. And if that means, Al, I don't know, like how far they go. If they'd start Al, putting Porzingis off the bench would probably be extreme. But then again, I don't know.
Even if it's just more minutes, yeah.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it would mean lining up Al's minutes with Embiid, like, because again, that's kind of would be the point. It seems like Al. When Al sees Embiid, when he sees Embiid and Giannis, Al turns into Superman. So it seems like that's, the point of having Al and the rest of the game is for matchups like that. So it'll just, again, be interesting to see how they handle that kind of going forward.
What did you think? I do have one other note game related. No O'Shea Brissett at all tonight?
So
any
I think
particular thoughts on that? Just real quick.
My thoughts on that, I think, is just with how deep we had to go into the bench. I'm guessing that Joe's favorite thing in the world, I think, is spacing. And Brissett provides 0 spacing. So I think knowing the lineups we had to go with, he opted to go with a guy like Spee, who can shoot. Banton, who brings, isn't a 0 on offense. He can obviously handle the ball really well. So I think you already have Cornet in.
Shoot. He had a terrible
but he can get to the basket. I mean, Brissett's almost a negative on offense. Like, obviously he's getting offensive rebounds and stuff, but he's not driving,
guy you
he's
put
not
on
cutting.
For the starters or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. I just think it was more need-based, and I mean, hard to argue with the results. I thought that bench unit was awesome. Spee, like you said, came right in, made a 3. Banton made multiple hustle plays and can handle the ball. I mean, he could score. He took it to the rack a few times, too. I guess my thing with the bench I'm curious to see how much this was like a one-off given the guys who were out in the matchups versus like, I think that was the first time Banton all year has gotten real minutes, right? It's the first time I can remember.
Yeah. I think
I
there's
mean,
one game where he might have gone in for like 2 minutes, but it wasn't like a blowout yet. But I might be wrong about that.
Either
Otherwise,
way,
I think it's all been garbage time.
But yeah, either way, like I feel like he's kind of earned minutes. Like he was awesome. I thought on both ends, like really made a difference in the game. It was good to see. I thought Pritchard was really good again, controlling the ball. So it is kind of funny. I think you mentioned in an earlier episode that like Pritchard just does better when he has a more sure role. And I think that was kind of like tonight. He knew he was going to be the sixth man, and he came out, looked confident, hit his first shot, and then had a few other nice layups, made some nice defensive plays. He's rebounding like usual. So that was fun to see. And I'll just kind of be interested to see how much the bench, the rotations, and the lineups in general are kind of evolving as the season goes on. And I think that's one cool thing about this in-season tournament is that if we get like if we do make like the Final Four, even the quarterfinals, and Joe kind of handles it, I would assume somewhat like a playoff game, then we might get an early season look at what at least his vision for the team to eventually will be. So all good stuff.
Yeah. So I just had a couple other points, mostly just observations on the announcing. So one, shout out to Drew Carter for going back and correcting himself after saying that Philadelphia was like the birthplace of America. When I first heard that, I was like yelling at my TV. I get I'm a history guy. Continental Congress happened there. I get it. Declaration of Independence and all that. But the people of Boston, the people of Massachusetts were chasing the Redcoats out of the colony while they were still deciding in Philadelphia whether or not they even wanted to support independence. So I'm glad that Drew Carter went back. They took a little field trip to Dorchester Heights or something like that. And
he was all over it.
Read some of those plaques they got out there. But I'm glad he went back and fixed that. All jokes aside, I think he's done a pretty good job.
I thought Drew was awesome tonight.
Yeah.
And I thought it was funny, too. He was going at Pat Beverly. He had like 4 or 5 snide comments.
Oh, yeah, about him shooting. Yeah.
He'd be like, Beverly left open. He just bricks it. He's
obviously.
Like, and that's why.
Yeah.
And then he had, I don't know. He had like 3 digs at him that were
They also
hilarious.
had a moment where they had like a haircut talk. I forget the player on the Sixers they were talking about, but he's like, yeah, so we went and got a buzz, and he's like, well,
no, it was the
fade,
Celtics,
and then
it was
Scal's
Emil
like,
Jefferson, the Celtics assistant coach, but yeah.
All right, yeah, he's like they got a buzz. He's like, is that a fade? And Scal's like, actually, that's a lineup. So I just was like, oh my god, this is just hilarious.
That's what the fans want to hear.
Scal also had a comment too about Derek White's hair, or his lack thereof. Now he said that's just called accepting reality. I'd like to remind Scal, who I believe is a listener of the show, because he mentioned the lack of a 2 missed free throws contest. So Scal, if you are listening, come on the pod to discuss,
please.
But also, you can't make comments about Derek White going bald while you're also in a Dr. Leonard commercial. So, as a member of the tribe there, I just felt like I had to stick up for White. But overall, just a few funny observations on the announcing team.
Yeah.
I do think they're getting a pretty good chemistry going. So
I agree.
While we'll definitely all miss Mike next year, I do think that we're in good hits. I can't believe Drew Carter's 26 also. That rattled me to my core.
Yeah. He's got the voice of a chain-smoking 50-year-old, so. No?
I thought, no. I guess I disagree. I don't know.
Oh, I thought that his voice is very, polished and sounds like just like a savvy old.
I feel like once I thought, I feel like I thought that until I found out that he was 26, and then now I just can only hear 26. I don't know, but I know that he's also a Syracuse guy, so I know that you got your
naturally
right. So anyway, yeah. So again, I think that about wraps up the Celtics recap portion of the show. So and the announcing recap. So Celtics win 117 to 107. They moved to 9-2 on the season. So looking forward to
alone in first in the East.
Great. That's good to hear. So yeah, just a good overall win for the Celtics. So we can move on now to our around the league portion. There's definitely a lot going on, especially some of the things that happened last night. So I will pass it over to you, Chud. Let's hear it around the league breakdown.
Yeah, well, we already alluded to it earlier, but the talk of the buzz around the league is kind of the in-season tournament, these intense games, some rivalries breaking out. There were multiple kind of skirmish incidents last night. Of course, the biggest one we mentioned on the last pod, I think we talked about the Draymond and Edwards kind of going at it in that Wolves-Warriors game. they run it back 2 nights later, play again, which I absolutely love those little mini series in the middle of the season parts. I feel like it always leads to these kind of growing rivalries. And I'd say now at this point, this is now a full on rivalry as less than 2 minutes into the game, we saw a
0-0 score.
0-0 score. Jaden McDaniels and Klay Thompson get tangled up. They start going at it. Rudy Gobert comes in. I would say tries to basically play peacemaker. It wasn't really doing anything wrong.
Yeah,
Draymond
I'd say
comes flying in and gives like aggressively chokes him out and just like dragging him by the neck for a pretty long time. Just like a hilarious scene, I guess, as a neutral fan. It was I just thought it was a riot. Klay and McDaniels get tossed. Draymond gets tossed. Came out tonight. Draymond has also got a 5-game suspension. Curry was already out, so just hilarious if you're a Warriors fan until you think you're going to this sick game, and within 2 minutes there's no Steph, Klay, or Draymond. They actually played really well, the Warriors did. It went right down to the wire, but Minnesota pulled it out. But hilarious incident there, just all around. And again, I think the in-season tournament brings out a little extra intensity, and I think the fact that they had just played each other and obviously had some bad blood from the previous night just made for, again, kind of an interesting thing. And I think now this will be, something we remember. If both these teams, I would love to see a playoff series now at this point. I think everyone would. I just think whatever you think of the incident, this kind of stuff is awesome for the league. The league needs villains and rivalries and guys who want to, obviously don't want people getting suspended, but I think overall this kind of stuff is awesome for the league.
Yeah, I did absolutely love it. It was incredible. The memes and things obviously that come out of it are great. But it goes back to, we briefly touched on it before with Draymond. I just think the guy, when he was younger, it made more sense. But I think that now, he's a little bit of like a tryhard with some of this kind of stuff like that. I think he knows his best days are behind him, so I think he tries to oversell. I think I just feel like it used to be a lot more like natural. Now I think that he's just like over the top with it. I thought it was crazy that when he's choking him out, like the look on Steve Kerr's face, like he's like begging him to stop. And it's just not even clicking at all. So, just between that, punching Jordan Poole in the face too, like,
he got ejected too right before the Minnesota game. Last game he got in a skirmish. The game before that, they played the Cavs twice in a row, and he got into it with Donovan Mitchell the game before and got ejected for like out. Forearm shivering him.
Yeah, and he's cheering as he gets kicked out. So it's just
always.
I just think that it's kind of like, it's one of those things where I feel like to borrow a slightly edited line from the Ghetto Boys, like, you don't flex nuts if you know that you got him. And I just feel like he's just kind of like, at this stage of his career, I think that it's almost a little bit of like overcompensating with some of his antics.
Yeah, well,
and
perhaps.
I think maybe like once a year, maybe twice a year, you get kicked out, like sticking up for your guys. That's a pretty good thing. But I think when it's happening every time, you're like more concerned with yelling and cheering to the crowd, like being an absolute idiot. I just think that eventually it reaches a point where it's like, okay, you're just being a fucking goon. So again, I don't know. We'd love to be on Draymond's pod to discuss it. You'd obviously welcome on our pod. But I don't know.
Invite.
Yeah, I just think,
I think it's a little
much.
Obviously, when you're front running and your team's good, it looks a lot better than when you're not and when you're losing. So but I think there's definitely some overcompensating with, again, it's been a very slow start for the Warriors. They haven't looked good, and I think part of that is him trying to get his team fired up, this, that, whatever. Like, that's what he does. Like you said, when it doesn't go well and they're losing, it looks a lot worse. But I think for a while, like, people in the league definitely were a little intimidated, a little scared by him. I think even the refs were. And I think a lot of people now are, like, you heard Anthony Edwards the other night being like, no one's scared of you or whatever. I don't know. Did you hear Gobert's comments last night?
He called him a clown, right?
Well, first he said, he basically accused Draymond of saying that is afraid to play without his boy Steph, so he always gets ejected. Yeah. So he said he'd be looking for a reason to get ejected, so he wouldn't have to play without Steph. Yeah. And then he said, he's like, Kerr is obviously going to stick up for him, but he's like, deep down, like, they know that this guy's a clown. So, it's just awesome to hear that kind of stuff. Like, this is a rivalry. I already can't wait till they play again. Like, it's going to be awesome.
And Gobert is not. They're in the same in-season tournament group, right? Or they only play each other once in the group play, right?
Yeah.
So they just happen to be playing like near each other.
Yeah, okay. But they'll play again.
Hopefully one of them gets a wild card spot in the in-season tournament and they meet again or something like that.
But we'll all be hoping for that playoff series. And, I gained some respect for Gobert for actually calling him out like that. I mean, you don't hear a lot of guys actually call him out. But I mean, again, after you got choked out on national TV for 30 seconds, so if
That
you're
was
not
like
going
a
to stick up
legit
for yourself,
chokeout. That was like
it really was.
like there was few moments in it where it looked like Gobert thought he might die.
Yeah, it was aggressive. And Gobert's been playing awesome this year. He's been a huge part of why the Timberwolves have such a good record right near the top of the West, if not at it, and why they have the number one defense in the league. He looks back to his old Defensive Player of the Year form, and this time he's not basically overcompensating for all the bad Jazz perimeter defenders. It seems like he's got a lot of other good defenders across the board, and that's why it's working so well for that Wolves team. So, I mean, props to Gobert. Like I said, it seems like nobody likes him, and for some obvious reasons here and there, and he's always just kind of at the center of this, like, comical shit happening. That's like not really his fault. He didn't really do anything to warrant that.
I'm sorry. I just opened up Twitter to make sure we're not missing any breaking news. One of the first things is just one of the pictures of the chokeout. I just can't. I can't. Just not. Just so funny. I don't know. Just so many good pictures that come from it, and it's just.
It really, yeah. If you've somehow have not managed to see this, please pause the podcast there once we're done. Go
wait till the
online
podcast is over
and get the footage, because it's as funny as we're describing. Truly, for an NBA court, usually it's a lot of this and that, but there's like a legit choke.
He just jumped in over the top of everyone.
Yeah,
and
super aggressive,
choking the guy.
Super aggressive, super unnecessary. But perfectly on brand for everyone involved, really. Yeah. So awesome moment.
What else?
Then staying in the in-season tournament, I don't know if you saw the Lakers and Grizzlies got into a little bit too. Anthony Davis shoved Santi Aldama to the ground, and the bench.
Yeah, I saw
not like
that one.
But I mean,
I don't
again,
know why he shoved him at first when he turned around and just kind of like it was sort of it was kind of weird.
Yeah. And then also at the Clippers, who actually finally looked good last night with their guys, but still not quite enough to beat the Nuggets. And then there was a clip, the Clippers all pouty, pissed off, walked off the court without a handshake, and Jokic kind of looked up and made like a funny face, like, oh, okay, I guess that's what's happening. So again, I don't know if this is just all in-season tournament is making this stuff happen, but I think it's overall good to see that hopefully the league is getting back to some rivalries and, again, guys not wanting to be buddy and these kind of little skirmishes here and there is all, no matter what the league might want to pretend to say, like, this is great for business. Good to see. So I like some rivalries coming back. And again, I don't know how much is truly to blame the in-season tournament, but it definitely can't hurt. And there clearly are, like, the stakes are mattering enough that these guys do seem like they're trying a little bit harder. It's been cool to watch. I've been enjoying it so far. And if it leads to more stuff like this, all the better. So
absolutely.
I'm a big fan so far of the in-season tournament. Then staying, I guess, in the in-season tournament, just another couple games last night. We mentioned the Sixers were on a back-to-back. That was because last night they played the Indiana Pacers at home. Awesome game, start to finish. Pacers winning in Philadelphia. And this was another little mini-series because the Pacers and Sixers played another good game a couple days before, came back and played each other again. And I think, again, that just builds rivalries, like these little mini-series where you already know the team. And Tyrese Haliburton put on an absolute show. That kid is a superstar. He is like maybe the best, like, pure that type of point guard since like young Chris Paul. Not as good on defense, but he's taller and just awesome. In the last two games, he has 32 assists, 0 turnovers, and he's scoring in the 30s too. Haliburton, again, one of the best young guards in the league. Would not be at all surprised if he makes All-NBA this year. I'm sure he'll lead the league in assists. And that Pacers team is super fun. They don't really guard anyone, but they have one of the best offenses in the league, and it's almost entirely thanks to him. Amazing player. Staying in the in-season tournament, we got our first NBA matchup of Wemby versus Chet last night. It was pretty underwhelming.
Slendermen.
Yeah, fairly underwhelming by those guys' standards. Neither one had a very good shooting night, but I mean, they did other things and had their moments. Impressive win for the Thunder. They pulled away and dominated, but just would be fun for that to be a nice rivalry for years to come. And one thing I did notice, again, although neither guy played well, I do think there is a bit of like a genuine rivalry between those guys naturally, since they are, I'm sure, so similar, and they have actually matched up several times on USA versus France in gold medal games at younger ages. So it seemed like there is like,
I thought you were saying that the rivalry they basically just like fuck, that guy's tall and skinny. Like, I fucking
Well, I
hate
mean,
that
I
guy.
think that is part of it, that they're both these, like, quote unquote unicorn type guys who are over 7 feet tall, but can shoot threes and dribble back-to-back years going like at the top of the draft. So I think that's natural, but no, they did have a little rivalry for Team USA versus Team France and like the under 18 teams. And it did look like last night there was a little extra like juice, like those guys knew that was, the matchup people wanted to see, and they went out, and it was kind of cool just seeing them go head to head. So I don't have any skin in the game for either guy, but I think it would be very cool for the league if that did become like a rivalry of these giant skinny guys over the years to come. Like, nothing wrong with that at all. And then an unfortunate bit of news, as it seems like the snake bitten all these former Celtics. Our boy Marcus Smart went down with an ankle injury, left the game pretty much right away. Especially sad because the Celtics are playing the Grizzlies for the first time this Sunday. We don't know the status. Obviously, it would be nice to see Smart in uniform, so hopefully that's still the case. Hopefully it's not too serious.
While we're talking about Marcus Smart, do you want to address NBA analyst Jeff Kupka's comments that he sent to us after the game?
No,
Should I?
I'll address him when he comes on the pod.
Oh, all right.
But
you're lucky. You're lucky, Jeff.
Yes, exactly. Staying in somewhat Celtics related, another thing we mentioned earlier, Daniel Tice, we had speculated about if he would make a return or if he would go somewhere. He had been buried in that rotation, was finally bought out, went to the Clippers. I know you are not thrilled with the landing spot in terms of a team you root for, but in terms of pure basketball fit, it actually is a great spot for Tice. The Clippers,
they just traded away.
Plumlee just got injured, so they really just have Zubac, who has not been playing great. Last night I was watching them. PJ Tucker is essentially now their backup center, which he's good obviously for what he does. But watching them last night again, the Clippers actually played really well, but down the stretch it was like the Nuggets were just throwing it up to Jokic, and it was like it looked like the teacher playing against all the kids at recess for a little bit out there. So I think Tice can get a meaningful role on a team that, at least in their own eyes, is a contender. I'm not sure if they are, but again, going from literally not playing at all in Indiana to getting real minutes in LA is an upgrade, no matter how you spin it. So,
happy for Tice, sad for the rest of us.
Yeah, exactly. But if you could bring a little bit of likability to that team, I mean, some Westbrook Tice 2-man games could be fun. Come on.
Dear God.
Have a heart.
No.
Another interesting story about, we always like to speculate with the trade talks and stuff, came out that the Bulls are willing to trade Zach LaVine. Just could be first name.
Please don't go to Miami.
So I don't know about this one. I think Zach LaVine is a good player, but he's awful on defense. He gets paid a lot of money. He has serious knee issues. I'm not sure the market, I think this will be more like a Bradley Beal return than a Kevin Durant return, if you know what I mean. If he does get traded, I think, 1 first and some salary. I don't think it's going to be a ton, and I think, like you said, it's going to be the teams like the Heat, the Lakers, who are always in the mix.
So it sounds like you're saying maybe send him to Miami, because he's...
I think I'm not convinced, based on anything that's happened in his career, that what he brings contributes to winning. I think he could be a classic good stats, bad team guy. I'm not sure if he can really fit into a winning culture. And I could be wrong. He's obviously a very talented player. I just think to pay that guy over $40 million and up to $50 million over the next 4 years, with the injuries he's had, the lack of team success he's been a part of in his career, and again, just a guy who doesn't play defense. He's just like a scorer. So just not my type of player at all. I would love actually for Philly to use all the stuff they just got to go get him and fuck up the vibes and have a defensive backcourt of Maxey and LaVine. That would be absolutely hilarious. I don't think, sadly, that Morey is dumb enough to do that, but it would be awesome. I think this ends the most predictable way ever, with the Lakers giving up D'Angelo Russell, Hachimura, some made-up draft pick from 2050, and forcing Zach LaVine into that team that will just be immediately even more hateable and disgusting, and it'll just be glaring how overpaid he is. LeBron will pretend to love him and secretly hate him. So I will not be I'll go on the record right now of saying any of our rivals get Zach LaVine, I will not be concerned. And I also think that when people eventually see whatever ends up being traded for him, they'll be oh, that's it. It's my guess. I would guess.
Lakers... you know more about him than I do, but I just know that I knew he's a scorer and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I don't
No,
know.
he's
I feel
a good
like
player.
defense
player,
can get
but...
better. You could just learn and be better at defense than you were. I feel like in the right situation, but
yeah, well,
you're right. He's got the knee issues and stuff like that. So who knows? But
look at the teams he's been on. Like that just has not ever been a team that you've really feared. Like he's just never been a part of any meaningful success. So not worried about that, but fun name. Always love the rumor mill and the speculation. And again, I hope that some team does fuck up their team to overpay him for the next 4 years. Would be great. I'm happy that it definitely won't be us. League. So yeah, this league exactly. I will say if the Bulls are blowing it up, I'm going to say right now, Alex Caruso, bring him to me. So the white Marcus Smart.
I've seen a lot of people say that. Awesome. Don't you think that we need to find a big, or are you Cornet is the guy?
I'm kind of Cornet pilled now. No, I mean, I think it depends. Obviously, what you can get.
I think like Cornet too. I'm not saying that. I was laughing at the term Cornet pilled, not Cornet.
No, I just think if I just love Caruso, and I think he's again, when these guys are so good at defense, like he's a guard, but again, watching this team. Drew Holiday was like a center / power forward, and Caruso is a similar, like Caruso would just be another Caruso, White, and Drew, and like again, Pritchard's been good the last few games, but I think he's a guy who could fit in. Like he's technically a point guard, but I don't think he needs to play point guard, and I think he can guard up. Like he would just be a great guy to add off the bench for the Celtics team. That the contract
I don't
could
hate
actually
it. I just didn't know if
he's more if the Bulls are blowing it up, everyone's going to be saying, "Oh, like who's going to get Levine? Who's going to get if they deal DeRozan? Even Vooch, like whatever." Zag. Yeah, I'm saying Caruso is the real diamond in the rough if they start shedding parts that could be had, and I think could actually go to a team, play a role, and help a contender more than probably any of those other guys, if we're being honest. So I would love to see Caruso and Green. I would hate to see him go to a team that I hate. But again, kind of the first outward like trade issue thing, whatever that's going on in the league. Those are always fun. Can't wait for all the speculation. And then the only other thing I had, it seems like this is just a recurring story now at this point on Chuddy's Corner at the end, but the Kelly Oubre update, I don't know if you saw the latest, but just a bizarre situation where now the police are saying they don't have any footage to corroborate his claim of being hit and run.
Is that why Drew Carter said reportedly a hit and run?
Yeah, now it's an alleged hit and run because they can't confirm that it happened. Ooh. It's just what he said. There was like also a weird thing in I think it was the Philly Inquirer story saying that a source close to the situation said there was reason to believe that he was like not telling the truth about the account. He like switched. I love it. They looked at the video of where it was and nothing happened. And then he's saying was like, I just moved to the area, like I don't really know where I was, and he's saying he was like out of sorts after it happened. So, but then I also saw something that like medics arrived to the scene and responded. So it's just like a very fishy story, and it feels like it keeps getting weirder.
Keep pulling every out that string, bro.
Yeah, so again, like I don't want to accuse him of lying, and he's obviously is injured, but
yes, thoughts and
just
prayers,
bizarre situation that I wanted to add. That's now this whole
I didn't realize that was. I was wondering why he said reportedly a hit and run. So I guess there is a little bit of something to that.
Yeah, just very.
What do
odd
you think could cause? Like, do you think he like fell down the stairs or something? Like, what do they?
Well, I mean,
up?
I don't know, because like why. The only thing I could, like, you'd have to think, why would he want to lie and say that he got hit by a car?
Was he, like, riding around like a dirt bike, like an ATV? I feel like I always see videos in Philly of people doing shit like that.
That's what I was going to say. Was he doing something that, like, maybe he's not supposed to be doing in his contract? Like, I don't know, was he playing pickup football? Or, yeah, like you said, doing some, like, extreme sport?
That's it.
Did he
just
get,
like laid out playing pickup
football or something? I don't know. So, like I said, I don't think it doesn't seem like he's lying, at least yet. I don't think that, but there's just a lot of suspicious details in the reporting around it.
Speculate. We're not accusing, but we're down to speculate.
Yeah, that's pretty much where we're at with that one. So again, just something we'll keep an eye on. But Woj also said he should be back within a couple of weeks, so this could be a story that kind of just goes away before it gets any momentum.
I hope not. I
just
hope we get to the bottom of it. All right,
we need to. Again, if our intern gets to Philly, we're still waiting on Nick to come through with the funding for the hotel. But,
yeah, things just got a little spicier there, so we might have to send the intern out there.
Yeah, it seems like
he might have to rent a dirt bike and infiltrate the underground, like almost like a first Fast and the Furious movie.
Right.
We need to kind of get like
Oubre's hanging out down.
Yeah,
we
might have to do something like that.
It's possible.
All right, so yeah, that wraps up around the league. If you want to just real quick give us just like a 1 minute We got the Raptors coming down. We've already seen them once this year, but another game of the in-season tournament. Any thoughts about the game?
Yep.
Do you think Porzingis might be back? Anything? Just give us a little taste.
So, I mean, I guess the Porzingis thing is really a much bigger story in the grand scheme of things than any of these games are. He said, bumped knees with Randall. Good call by you. I think you mentioned it last pod that he looked like he was limping and looked a little, he's kind of grimacing. Obviously, that was true. He said he bumped knees with Randall on that drive. Knee contusion. I think it's just essentially a fancy word for a bruise. It's sore. It sounded like, from what he was saying, he could have played. The medical team's being cautious. But, I mean, again, obviously the last thing we ever want to hear is there's a new leg or foot or knee, any part of the body injury for Porzingis is never good. Just hope it isn't something that lingers. But if his status is at all in doubt, then, no reason to play him. The Raptors, as we saw last time, are a big team. They don't shoot very well. They just kind of bludgeon you inside with the strength of Scotty Barnes, Siakam, Jakob Poeltl, guys off the bench. So we, took care of business against them. And, I would imagine and expect more of the same with or without Porzingis. I think, winning the game tonight and looking as good as we did, there's no reason to force him to play. Obviously, if he's not, 100%, Jaylen Brown missed the game only because he was sick, so I would imagine he'll be back. Raptors also have been down OG Anunoby the last couple nights, and they got absolutely boat raced by the Bucks tonight, I believe it was. And
I saw that score.
Another ugly game the other night I think they actually came back and won, but they got down by 20 points against the hapless Wizards. The Wizards are just finding incredible ways to lose games down the stretch. So I think the Raptors actually put that out, but they've not looked very good at all without Anunoby. They don't have Gary Trent either, as they didn't last game. So I think the Celtics will be favored with or without Porzingis in this one, and I would expect them to take care of business against that team. Hoping for another nice win, and genuinely excited for more in-season tournament, honestly.
Yeah. I was just sending a bench guy to start a fight. I want to get
who is our guy? Who is that guy? I was thinking last night.
I think Brissett.
Who on the Celtics is putting Siakam in a chokehold for 30 seconds? Brissett. You might be on his with Brissett.
Yeah, I think Brissett's the motor guy. I would think Svi. Any of those Eastern European guys, they probably
you never know. They might have military backgrounds. You don't know.
Yeah, exactly. So, I think
definitely
one of those two. And I'm basing that also
sneaky Missoula.
Oh, actually, yeah, that's the answer.
Jiu-Jitsu Joe.
That's actually the answer. Yeah, it's Missoula. 100%. So that's
no. I think Joe's sensei has got him. He might calm enough that
he actually might be one of those guys that just respects that. It's just these I'm a registered weapon. It would be an extra charge. It'd be a deadly weapon. If he thinks he's
defending one of his boys, I wouldn't put anything past him in the moment.
Yeah, that's true. Well, hopefully we'll find out. But I was thinking more based on a need. I would say Svi, Brissett, Joe in that order would be who I'd want to send out there. So I look forward to maybe seeing something like that. But yeah, so Celtics again to close out, beat the Sixers in Philly, 117-107. They move on to 9-2 on the season, and we're looking forward to this Friday's in-season tournament game.
Looking to go to 2-0.
Yeah, hopefully they go 2-0, lead the group against the Toronto Raptors. I believe it's in Toronto.
Yeah.
Yes. So we'll see the Toronto court, see what that one looks like. I bet you it looks fucked.
Can't wait.
Yeah. So we'll look forward to seeing everyone again here on Friday night, as we will see you after every Celtics game. So thank you for listening. Everyone have a good night. Chuddy, you have a good night. We'll see everyone on Friday.
Peace out, Chuddy heads.